Okay, appreciate everybody being here. Just first of all, to recap the weekend, I thought it was really good atmosphere at the game. I thought our kids did a lot of positive things. Some of the things we haven't done since we've been a part of this program. We had 3 wide receivers, over 100 yards, I thought, which was really good. Torrey Horton, I think, broke the school record, a number of receptions against some pretty good kids he was going against. A lot of excellent efforts by our defense. Really some great snaps of our kids running and hitting. And I think, we played a lot of the minutes in that game exactly the way we wanted to. And it was a great example of how you got to play for 60 minutes. And we talked about that before the game. We talked about being resilient and persistent in our focus and our effort, doing our job for 60 minutes. And, so we have to learn from that. This performance has got to springboard us for the rest of the season. And we're really looking forward to this next opportunity, this next step. I want to address one other thing. I know there was a play in the game there where one of their kids got hurt. And I reviewed the play. It's a play that happens sometimes. When you throw a deep ball and you got a guy playing middle safety, he's got to react on the boundary and he's going full speed. It was a bang-bang type of a play, and the officials looked at it. We looked at it. It's certainly not something that we teach or coach. It happens in football sometimes. And so there seems to have been a lot of attention about that play. But it's a play that happens. And, I also have to say this. I've been doing this, been a part of college football for 40 years. There's been a lot of changes. I'm really concerned about some of the trends that are going on in college football right now and the reaction that people have to the players on the field. And, we had a result after the game, actually during the game. We had a player get death threats and his family get death threats and their address be posted all over Instagram and social media. And I just don't think those kind of things have any place in college football. And I hope there can be some accountability in that type of behavior. And I'm very concerned for our kids. These are 18 to 22-year-old kids. They play college football. I know a lot of people get excited about that, but there's really no place for that in athletics and in sports. And so, I hope everybody's healthy and that Travis gets healthy and gets back out there. But we certainly don't want to see anybody get hurt. And I do want to mention that, there's some ugly elements that surround sports sometimes, and I think this is an example of that. And I want to make sure that our kids are all safe and that kids everywhere that we play against are safe. So we play Middle Tennessee this week. We're excited for the opportunity. Rick Stockdale is a great coach. He's had a tremendous program for a long time, probably the most consistent program in the state of Tennessee. And we're excited to play them. They're an air raid offense. They got a real crafty quarterback that does a really good job, another wide open offensive team that we're playing, really pressurized defense, like to come after you, create turnovers, blitz quite a bit. They're 1-2 right now. They lost to Alabama and Missouri and beat Murray State. So really excited about this next chapter for our football team, and we want to take another step in our development, and this is going to be a big part of that.
Coach, I know you were happy with the way the passion and the emotion that your team played with this past game. How do you take that on the road when there isn't the pregame buildup? How do you keep them with that same emotion?
Yeah, that's the challenge. I think the standard's been set of the type of focus and effort we have to play with, and we got to improve it. We lost our focus at the end of the game. One of the things we point out on Mondays is, areas that we have to improve on. Things we did well, but areas we have to improve on. We had too many penalties. And there's always a couple drives at the end of the game where you could finish the game or you got to stop them to finish the game. And, we really wanted to keep the ball offensively at the end there. We ended up punting it. Patty did an amazing job with the punt, putting them down on their 2-yard line. And then, they went 98 yards in a 2-minute drill, and you got to give them credit for that. And we got to do a better job stopping that. And so then we go into overtime, and we had our opportunities there as well. So we have to show our guys where we got to play a 60-minute game and sometimes more than 60 minutes to win. And you have to continue to focus and be disciplined.
When you look at Mo Kamara, the start he's off to, people already thought he was the best defensive lineman in the Mountain West. You're somewhat surprised that he's not drawing more attention at the start of the season and he's still doing what he's doing.
Yeah, Mo's had an amazing camp. I've talked to a lot of my friends in the National Football League. They love how he played and has been playing and the way he practiced. He's just relentless. And, pass rushing is about passion and relentlessness, and Mo has that. He showed a lot of flashes over the last couple of years, and he's taken it up another step. And so we're excited about what he can do. And, and we talk about starting over every week. We got to start over. We have a new opponent. It's a new challenge. It's a different environment this week. We're not going to have a lot of the hoopla surrounding the game. And so we're going to have to bring our own juice and play on the road again against a good football team that's, they're used to going to bowl games, they're well coached, and they have good players. And so the challenge for us is there, and we gotta uphold the standard of play now. Offensively, we gotta try to score 34 points a game, and that's our challenge. And and so this is going to be a big step in that.
Braden, obviously we talked post game, but a lot of third down conversions that seemed timely ones. When you went back and watched the tape, kind of what stood out to you about what Braden did?
Yeah, I think we were 50% on third down, and and it's a challenge to Braden. I think the big thing about Braden is that he made some mistakes, but he kept playing. He kept firing that ball, and he kept giving his guys an opportunity to make plays, and that's the credit of a good player and a good quarterback. We don't expect him to be 100% error-free, but he's got to learn from those mistakes, and he's got to keep giving his guys a chance to make plays. He made some incredible throws in that game. When he was rolling out to his left and he threw the corner route to Lewis Brown, it was really an outstanding throw. The touchdown he threw to Torrey Horton was a bullet in the back of the end zone, and he just let it rip, and he didn't have much margin for error, but he let it rip, and that's after throwing a couple interceptions. So I was impressed with his competitiveness. I thought he really handled himself with poise in a tough environment. For a young guy, it's only his second start. I thought he played really well, and so we're excited to build on that. We need that electricity at quarterback to get our offense going and to get that production and that spark. So I think he should only get better.
Torrey's 4 for 4 in his career, and that throw, and that was a small window too. You obviously have a lot of confidence that he can hit those in timely fashion.
Torrey's a baller. He can do about anything on a football field, and he was a center fielder in baseball, so he's got a good arm. And but I thought he made an outstanding play on that. He did not hesitate. We had two options on that, and Dallin flashed, and he let it rip, and he threw it in a spot like a quarterback away from the defender, and I thought he made an excellent play on that. It was really well executed.
Dude, jump on it. He's got like a 5.48 career efficiency. How did you find out that he was the guy that you at Nevada, because you threw there too?
Yeah.
How did you find out he was the guy? Was he the one saying, I can do this? Or were there like open tryouts and you found out he was good?
Yeah, we mess around a lot in practice, and you can kind of see which guys, have certain skills. And so, we always like to look and see who can throw the ball. And Torrey stood out. And, he's been pretty successful in those when we've done them. And it just gives the defense one more thing to defend, which is what we want.
Jay, you mentioned kind of the online reaction that Henry's been dealing with the last couple days. Have you had any conversations with him, just with resources you guys have here to kind of help him in this situation?
Yeah, our university's supporting him. The police department is supporting him because of the seriousness of the threats that have come out of this. And I mean, it's just sad. It's sad that that's the state of the world we live in. And I mean, it's a football game. Let's not make it more than that. I mean, we don't want anybody to get hurt. We don't coach that kind of football. And I've been talking to Henry about that. I talked to him last night, and I talked to him today. And it's discerning, and it's unsettling. And I mean, this kid should be worrying about going to school and getting ready to play football. He shouldn't be worrying about that kind of nonsense.
You guys took 9 sacks against Middle Tennessee last year. Given how the offensive line has improved since then, what are your hopes for them in terms of protecting Braden and facilitating a better offensive
Yeah, that
game?
was a completely different team. I mean, it's difficult to even watch those plays from last year. Our offensive line, really, we've given up 4 sacks, and they all should have been throwaways by the quarterback. They were all the quarterback's issues. Braden had a couple. He ran out of bounds for -2 yards, and I just want to grab him and say, do not do that, okay? Just throw it away. Throw it to me. Throw it to me and Matt. We're standing right here, But, those are still things, a young player. He's really competitive. He's trying to make plays. And but, none of the 4 sacks that we've had so far this season have been on the offensive line. And so I think we're much improved. I think we'll be able to handle the pass rush much differently.
You talk about this being a different team. Nicholas Battiato now for Middle Tennessee, he'll be, he's really breaking out. How do you kind of deal with him having faced 2 previous really good quarterbacks? Does that kind of help prepare for that?
Yeah, I mean, we faced some really good quarterbacks so far this year, and guys that are playing at a high level. This is going to be the same thing. I think there's been some similarities in our first 3 games that we've had to deal with defensively. We did a lot of good things defensively in the game last week, and then we slipped a little at the end. But it's going to be another challenge, and we're still looking for that type of defensive performance where we're really locked in and playing with great discipline. And so we're going to have to do that this week. It's just that simple. It's another challenge with a good quarterback and a spread offense that likes to throw the football. So we'll be challenged by that. But again, we're going to keep pressing. Last year we started to settle down after the first couple games and play pretty good defense. And, we really need to do that again.
Torrey obviously showed off his arm the other day too, but I mean, just his impact as a receiver as well on that kind of stage. Were you happy to kind of see him do that on that stage and kind of maybe show to what people that have been watching him nationally know that he can be that kind of player?
Yeah, I think it was, there were a lot of people watching that game. It was the highest rated game of the day from what I heard. I just love to see our kids respond on a stage like that, where there was that much attention in the game. Torrey's a really good player, and if he doesn't get the ball, it's our fault as coaches, and the quarterback's got to do a good job getting him the ball. So we want to try to give him an opportunity to make plays, and I think he had 16 catches. I mean, he had a really good game, and with some pretty good players on him. So I think it was a really important game for Torrey, and we just want to continue to, one thing about college is that you don't get to keep your good players for very long. So we're going to try to use him up every week and try to get him the ball as much as possible.
Did you learn a lot about a lot of your guys? I mean, Lewis had, I think, 100 yards in the first half. I mean, he was kind of in the middle of like a pregame scuffle at midfield. He seemed kind of animated going into the game. Did you learn a lot about not just Lewis, but a lot of your guys?
Yeah, I mean, it was, our kids were excited to play. There was a lot of talk and a lot of noise last week. They were excited to play, and they were challenged to play, and I was glad to see them respond, especially Lewis, and in some of our younger players that were in that environment for the first time. And I think it's going to serve him well going forward, you know, you know, I mean, we talk about it all the time. You come to college to see how you measure up on a big stage and against the best. And you know, that was an example of it in that environment. And it should serve our kids well moving forward. Really should.
Do you, I want to say worry, because you've seen all sides of everything, all levels of it. You mentioned the fallout, that's the impression that the country gets, that game and that moment when your body of work as a coach and this program's body is about more than that's you live in 30-second bites, and then that's all anybody plays on first take, and because they're all out there, they're all watching.
There's no question, and I know, you know, we're friends. I do appreciate that question. I really do. I think it's an excellent question, and you know, you get certain moments to showcase what you're about. And I think sometimes when you get in the most competitive situations, the basis of what you're about is what you lean on. And that was kind of why I made the comments that I made last week. The comments that I made last week were directed at our kids. It was about what we ask them to do. We ask them to take their hat off and glasses when they get interviewed and when they talk to their instructors in their class. There's certain conduct that we ask of them. You know, we like to treat people with respect. There's certain core values that our university has, that our former players have, that our alumni have. And so we try to emulate those. And, you know, I spent 40 years in college football. Those things are important to me as a leader. And I think as a leader, there's a responsibility that we have to instill those things in our kids. And so I believe in that. That's what I was taught. And I think we have a responsibility. I think we have to be careful in today's age of all the information and everything that's out there, that, you know, sometimes all this stuff becomes real and it's not real.
Right.
It's something somebody's created on the internet, or something, or a campaign that somebody's running for somebody else is intentions or their viewpoint. And if you're careful, if you just check your phone every time it buzzes and you see the headline, that's not reality. That's just something somebody created on YouTube. So I think we have to be careful of that. And people that aren't really paying attention to what's going on in college athletics, they think that they get their news from that, from YouTube and all that. And I'm not against it. I look at that stuff too. But I just think you have to be mature, an adult, in taking on that information. And we have a lot of young people that are influenced by it. And you got to be careful. And I think responsible adults got to reframe what's going on in the world. And if we don't do that, it's irresponsible, in my opinion. And there's a lot of irresponsibility going on all over in the media. And I think we have to do a better job of calling it like we see it, and understanding that, you know, we have a lot of young people that are being influenced by what people say, by what I say, by what all these leaders say. And it's important that we recognize that and we're accountable for the information that we put out there.
And I ask that because it's got to be hard to be up against a social media wave.
Yeah.
Because
it is, and it's.
I've been up against that too.
It's unfair.
And with the team in question. It is a thing.
It's unfair. I want to be protective of our kids. I want to be protective of our families, and I'm a football coach. I coach at Colorado State University. This is the program I care about. I have a job to do. You know, part of what I said last week is that I have a job to build this program. It's not easy, okay? And we're fighting a lot of elements to build it. And so I'm ready to do that. I've spent my life doing that. I'm investing my life in doing it here. But I don't like it when people take shots at our kids, our families, and our people, and it's unwarranted, and it's not true. It's a campaign on social media, and people need to call it like they see it and not just feed into it. And I think too many times people get complacent, and whatever they see, they replace their social media feed for news. It's not news. It's propaganda. And so don't take it as news. And I just get frustrated when a lot of adults don't act adult-like. And it's important that we reframe that. And I didn't want to get off on a tangent, but I mean, it was a good question, and it needs to be addressed, and I need to address it. I think everybody that's responsible, that has a platform, needs to address it. And it's affecting our culture. The social media campaigns affect us in every aspect of our life. Politics, the two biggest, politics and football. And so let's call it like we see it. This is America. Politics and football are the two biggest things, but the campaigns it's not. A lot of what's on social media is not accurate, and a lot is not news. And it becomes news because, I'm not being critical of the media, but a lot of the media takes it and runs with it and uses it as talking points. And let's face it, we have a lot of media and not enough news, so they got to have something to talk about. And so, we created some news for them last week, and now it's Dan Lanning. It's his turn to be in it this week in Oregon. So, but it is the way it is, and it's not new. This has been going on for a long time, and so, but I do think that there's a level of intensity that social media presence getting, and also you got gambling and all that fuels the fire with a lot of this as well.
Anything else? Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Jake.
Thanks, Coach.